Alrighty, guys, give me a second, real quick. Let me find a hat to throw on my head. There we go. Alrighty, how's everybody doing this Friday? El Cap playing with his wood again. No, actually, yesterday I had the motorcycle get its oil change done, and the bike chain, the drive chain tightened up a little bit. I've put all close to 15,000 miles on it. Thank you, Riley. Yeah, I'm getting real close to 15,000 miles in 2 years. Next week will be 2 years of owning the bike. So yeah, about 7,500 miles a year. Mostly daily driving and a couple of trips, some motorcycle camping, and of course my trip to Atlanta, and a handful of trips down to see Beard of Doom, which I badly need to do again and spend a day with that awesome guy. Y'all know how awesome Beard of Doom is. I got an Amazon package today. Woohoo! I ordered some new Chinese branded, off market, nothing super fancy. The triple charging cords cables, the little short ones, the little 1-footers. These are great for your nightstand if you got the alarm clock that you can plug a USB thingy into. Or I've got a little desk lamp over here that has it to where I'm planning to plug one in, and then I've also got another fun one of those pipe lamps, table lamps. I've got one of those out in the breakfast nook where I've got my little table and comfy chair, and so I've got a lamp there that one of these will plug into, because the wife has one plugged into that one already, but it's like a 6 foot long one. It's stupid long, and so the kids are constantly when they plug in their stuff in and out of it, they the end of it with the three thingies uh, ends up landing on the floor, and then the damn cat plays with it. Man, this fucking chair. I'm having chair difficulties again. But hey, it's been one heck of a week. You know, nobody ever told me when I bought the motorcycle. I was thinking, yeah, obviously the freedom of a motorcycle. Absolutely love riding a motorcycle. I love the lifestyle that goes with it and all that jazz. But what nobody told me was the fact that your oil changes, if you have dealerships do it, tires and getting tires mounted and stuff, any kind of maintenance stuff that is not the simple crap, anything that requires more tools or a lift or something, which I have elected not to do because I already do so much stuff around the house and everything that I really, with having a busted back, I really shouldn't be doing. So I kind of decided when I bought the bike that even though there's more that I could do on my own, maintenance wise, repairs wise, modifications wise, I'm not going to start buying. I'm going to refrain as much as I want to go ahead and buy a lift and buy the tools to do the oil changes and to do tires. And as much as I would love to do that, because I'm totally the hands-on kind of guy that loves to tackle all those things, it's not hard to do mentally. it's just gotten, because of my busted back from the military and everything, and my knees being shot. I'm kind of getting to the age in my heading closer to 40 with the injuries that I have that I really need to start watching more about what I do and how much I do. And then also how much I spend on those tools and all that stuff. So I decided not to do it with the motorcycle, to let the dealerships do that. Yes.
Why is your car not here?
I'm not explaining that to you for the 100th time.
It's at the shop. It's at the shop.
Yes. Go away. I'm in my life.
Okay.
These kids kind of know everything that's going on, and you tell them, and then they forget about it, and they want you to re-explain it. It's so freaking aggravating to have to do that over and over and over again. If you don't have kids, don't have kids. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. But yeah, so it's $160 to have the oil change done, so oil, filter, and all that, and to have them tighten up the drive chain. In a car, and really they honestly just like, I think they just charged me like an extra $10 to do the bike chain. I'm eating chips and salsa. But yeah, it's like a car is almost half the price. Pretty much. It's usually less than $100 for a car oil change with full synthetic. But yeah, so I having reached the mileage that I've got on the bike now, I've kind of worn out the rear tire. It's done, just about. So it's time to get a new tire. And I was actually talking with, he's not in here yet, is he? Is B&A here? I don't know if B&A is here. I'll hit everybody up in the chat here in a second. But I was talking with B&A earlier today. We were texting each other, and about how expensive motorcycle tires have gotten these days. I'm looking at $538 for the tires for the bike. Mimo, that is absolutely fucking hilarious. $200 to change the oil in your Tesla. Hell, they probably charge you $80 just for windshield wiper fluid in those fucking Teslas. Teslas are money pits. You would have been better off buying a boat, a yacht. A big ass yacht would serve you better than a freaking Tesla. God damn those cars. Electric fucking cars. I get the hybrids, the EV assists and all that stuff, but not full-blown electric. You're doing more harm to the environment, to the world, and it's just not, it's not worth the cost difference. It's really not. And the biggest problem is the U.S. infrastructure is not set up. For several million full electric cars to be navigating our road systems, for the number of charging stations and the distances between them, and it's just, the country's not ready for that yet. Not even close. getting the electricity to those charging stations. Not anywhere close.
Way far away from being ready for that.
But yet, our wonderful government just wants to keep pressing forward, putting the cart before the horse. Man, I haven't ever used that. I think that's the first time I've ever used that analogy. Oh, Blue Creek stickers. G-Ball. Good to see you in here, buddy. Let me see. I got a Blue Creek sticker. I got just a couple of them. This is my absolute favorite one. And because I'm pretty positive I only have the one. Yeah, I only have one of these. And then I've got this guy. I only have these two. These are the only two that I have. And I'm reluctant to put them on anything because they're so awesome. They're amazing fucking stickers, and I can't decide what to put it on. Because whatever I put them on, I want them to stay on it for like forever and get used. Just be seen all the damn time. So I don't know what to put it on, and they're just so awesome stickers. And the fact that I only have one of each of those. But you're not home. You are at work. Oh, the store manager of the Winn-Dixie, where I parked the car and then walked down the street. I had to walk about 4 or 5 blocks to the motorcycle dealership to pick up the bike. So I parked the car at the Winn-Dixie. And I left in the car and went back to the car on the bike to get the skid plate that I have mounted on the front bottom end of the bike. I've got a big old plate that bolts on there to keep any debris or anything coming up off of the road, as well as dirt and yucky crap from damaging and bashing up the exhaust pipe intake area and where the oil filter is and the oil pan. So yeah, I got a skid plate, and I had to take that off for them to do the oil change so that they could get to the oil filter. So I was out in the Winn-Dixie in the fucking rain like 45 minutes ago, reattaching my damn skid plate so I could ride the rest of the way home in the damn rain. And the store manager came out and was like, not every day I get to see somebody working on their motorcycle right outside my store. I was like, all I'm doing is putting 2 bolts and a plate of metal back onto it. But that was kind of funny. He was a little worried about my car being parked there. He's like, usually if I see cars sitting here for half a day, I get them towed. And I said, well, please don't tow mine because I'm coming back for it, and explain my situation. It's like when the wife gets off of work, she's going to come pick me up and take me back to the car so I can get my car back. I said, it's only a handful of hours. I was like, all right, that's fine. I was like, yes, thank you. Don't be an asshole. Please don't be an asshole. Yeah, hey, if Stevie wants to know, EDC Roundtable shirt, yes sirree, wore it today. I actually wore it beginning of the week. It did get washed between then and now. Although I am kind of a dirty boy. I forget to take showers. I just keep taking on the deodorant. I wash my face, I wash my hands, and I wash my nuts on a daily basis. But showers might happen every other day. Let's see, who all we got in here? I do not have a giveaway for today. I did send out the Moyaro out the other day, yesterday, to B&A. And he is graciously, such an awesome dude, sending me a little care package back. I don't know if it's because he feels a little guilty because he keeps getting all my giveaways. He didn't get all of them, but he's gotten at least 3, maybe 4. Yeah, because last week was a DSKFS or whatever. 8 years in the military, I'm done with fucking acronyms. I hate acronyms. I can't stand acronyms anymore. LCAP's got jokes. He mentioned that I was late. Got to point out that I was late. Is Maddie in here? Is Maddie here? I know Mrs. Urban popped in. She might be on break or something. Angelo. Good to see you. Good to see you. I think it's awesome that G-Ball's here. G-Ball, would you care to join? If you would care to join, I'm all for it. I'll send you a link. Let me know. If you got the time, if you're set up, it wouldn't take you too long to get set up. I wouldn't mind you joining. I know no promises with your connection being 100% good. You always seem to have trouble with that. What else is new this week? What do you mean, do I get something? You don't get nothing. You got it last night. I gave it to you last night. What'd y'all carry this week? I had today I carried the Chicago. Starting to really like the blade shape. I'm not so big with a spear point-ish blade shape, but because of its really sweet hollow grind, it's proven to be a really nice knife. And of course, y'all know that I had the Pulse. So, G-Ball is naked in the shower. Never mind then. We're not going to have him join us that way. He might get kicked off of YouTube altogether if that happens. I did carry the Mayhem for a couple of days. I think Sunday and Monday, I believe I carried the Mayhem, or also known as the RS Chaos. Today I carried today I carried the Chicago. I was gonna carry, because I took a photo of it and then I almost stuck it in my pocket, but then I remembered that I wanted to see about polishing the scales on it and smoothing up the scales. So I was like, well, I don't want to carry it until I do that. But I did carry Wednesday. I carried the F5.5. Such a sweet little knife. I know a couple people out there who do not like this thing at all because they have massive hands and they just don't care for it. I do just fine when you're choking up. If you're choking back, it's at least 3 fingers. But I like this knife, and I've got mine's in the blue denim micarta, which is not as textury as I would like it to be. It has really filled up with all of my oils from my skin, just in natural, grime from using and carrying. So maybe I should clean it up, take these scales off, and give them a little light bath and a little scrub-a-dub-dub. I imagine that this thing would be all that much sweeter if the scales were slightly contoured instead of flat. I mean, I don't have anything against flat scales. I have plenty, probably at least half of my collection the scales are all flat scales. But I do gravitate more towards the ones that are contoured, just slightly contoured. But I was going to carry what I took a picture of, and what you see is the image on the live. Where did I put it? I set it down somewhere. Where's my Finch? Where's my Finch Hellfire? Where did I put it? Here it is. Here's the Hellfire. Such a sweet knife. Super sweet knife. But again, holding it like this, if you're looking at it up close in person, you can see those horizontal lines from, I guess, when they cut the slab of it. And I want to see if I can buff those out. So I'm going to have to take the scales off because I don't want the other part of it being buffed and getting wear spots. So I'm going to have to take the scales off and carefully do that by hand. But, the other knife that I carried yesterday I rocked the AD 20.5 with my burlap scales. So I think they're RGT scales. Yeah, they're Rip's Garage Tech scales. Because I love that Rip's Garage Tech scales are not stupid expensive. He sells them for fairly cheap. And they're good. They're good quality scales, good materials. This is the burlap micarta, and brown burlap micarta, and I dyed it red, so it's got a bit of a reddish burgundy tint tone to it, and I like it. I like it a lot. But yeah, love the Shark lock. Awesome lock. So yeah, those are the knives I carried this week. Let's see a couple of y'all dropped your carries. Let's see here. We got Neil carried the Spyderco Tenacious, the Pink Classic SD from Mrs. Eonin. Hearts out to Mr. and Mrs. Eonin. What they're going through is what you would never wish upon anybody. And bless their souls. Tiny Sog. I'm not familiar with Tiny Sog or SOG. And the Folo Mauve Mini Light and SMW MMP Shield 9. Oh, you're a SMW guy, are you? Well, us prestigious Sig Sauer guys. This is what we think about your Smith and Wesson. Nah, the Smith and Wesson makes a good pistol, and the Shields series, the Shield 9, that's a good gun. That's a good gun. Nothing wrong with that gun. That's a good gun. They make a solid gun. I really like the revolvers, but they charge a pretty penny for their revolvers. As much as you pay for a Smith & Wesson revolver chambered in 357, you might as well buy a Colt. Spend the extra little bit, the little bit, and get a Colt. But who else threw up their carry? Throw up your carries. Come on, people. Yeah, the astronaut one is the one that I like the astronaut one, but the skull with the headphones, that one's fucking sick. Love those stickers. All right, that's no rush. I mean, if you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. That's fine. It was fun with Maddie. Maddie, shout out to him for coming on last week and opening his Gaul win. That's fun. Everybody has a good time with Maddie. He's a blast, right? Everybody loves him and his shenanigans. El Cap, you carried the Narrows? Oh, man. So many people hate that knife. You're a brave soul for saying that, for mentioning the Narrows. I hardly ever carry my Benchmades anymore. I've kind of, mostly for the sake of the fact that I've gotten over the Axis lock, and I'm just not super fond of it anymore. Yeah, I'm kind of just, whatever with the Axis lock. My jam has been lately just frame locks and liner locks, or mostly bolster locks. My favorite, I've developed my gravitation towards bolster locks and the compression locks. Again, I don't have enough compression locks besides Spyderco and the RS Chaos, aka Mayhem. There's really not that. Who else does a rendition of a compression lock? I'm surprised that lock system has not, since Spyderco was no longer owning it. I'm surprised that more companies have not, jumped on that. Hold on a second. Y'all give me a second to go do. Let me unmute. There we go. Unmute. Kids. I'm telling you, don't have any. Don't have them. They're more of a challenge than they are a benefit. You can't get them to do chores anymore. It's a pain in the ass. Oh, hey, Todd. How you doing, Todd? What's up, Todd? How's the Todd? How's Canada? How's Canada? Is it still cold up there? Here's the other. Hold on. Give me another second to grab something. I forgot to grab it out of my pants pocket. Here's the wonderful hashtag Suck It Gary Hank and all of its glory. Thank you, Forrest, for doing this. For I mean, he just his ability to be like so with the community, and like, you know, whatever we demand of him, he's like, all right. You want it, I'll give it to you. So yeah, thank you, Forrest. This is so awesome. And like, I think it was Maddie. It was either Maddie or Stevie who mentioned that maybe it was Sharif. And so one of them mentioned that this font is like it's the perfect font. And of course, it's, you know, Forrest does amazing work with these hanks. You know, really does just a stand-up job with the sewing and choosing in materials of quality materials. Yeah, I don't I don't even know Gary, but I've never met him. I At least I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if he was at Blade Show last year or not, but and maybe if he was, there is a chance that I did bump into him, but. This is just so much fun to take photos of this Hank, with that hashtag on there. It is just so much fun. The first time I took a photo midweek, like the day that I got it, I struggled to hold the camera still because I couldn't help but chuckle. I couldn't help but laugh. It's just so funny. So yeah, so I took the photo this morning of it for the live stream, and again, you know, like, I could not help but chuckle. What are you guys talking about? What did I miss? What did you trade up for? What are you talking about? Y'all fill me in. What did I miss? What knife are y'all talking about? You talking about the narrows? Oh yeah. I handled it at Blade Show last year and just did not like how thin it was. Just absolutely did not like how thin it was, and the materials just, they didn't quite add up in it to its price point in my mind. And I think that's the vast majority of us feel that way. It's just not. I mean, if that's what you're going for, if you were absolutely infatuated with the Bug Out, and the Bug Out is a great knife by all means. I own two of them. But if you were infatuated by the how light and yet how sturdy the Bug Out was, and then maybe also fell in love with the Bailout, for all of those that are more tactical minded and love their Tantos, their Tanto blades, I can get why the Narrows would appeal to that crowd that love the super slim, the super lightweight, and then the fact that the Narrows is basically dressed up with the titanium handle scales. Yeah, see, and that's the way that's what I gravitate towards more towards is for having a nice blade, a good sized beefy blade, a hard using shaped blade of good steel. I want the handle to be a stout handle, and the Freak does that. It gives you that blade, and it gives you that stout handle, and that is super comfortable in the hand. And the Narrows doesn't do that, so that's not what it's aimed to do. What? Really? Is that so? Is that what happened? Well, isn't that wonderful? That's funny. The other thing that happened this week for me was new saddlebags for the bike. A lot's going on with the motorcycle. The motorcycle got some needed upgrades and maintenance done to it. That's pretty much what happened with me, along with working. But yeah, so I got the new saddlebags, which I have the video on, and I absolutely love them. And then I also recently ordered and got, and I haven't put them on yet, but I got a new backrest for passenger seat backrest that is more my style. A little bit more money than the old one that I've had on it for the last couple years. So yeah, the bike's gotten a couple upgrades, and then I'm gonna have to fork out all of that money for new tires. It'll cost me another $120 for the tires to get balanced and put on. And and of course the $538 for the tires. I carry all my knives no matter the cost. Some do get much more pocket time than others. Most expensive is $100 or $250. Yeah, I've for the most part managed to keep my budget under $300 minus the Harsey. And let's see, the Harsey and was the Relative right around $300, I believe, either just under or just over. I don't remember. Otherwise, and we'll know the Capara was on sale when I got it, so it was actually under two. I think I got it for, well, the wife got it for me for Christmas, but I think it was around $180, $190. I really don't. I believe everything except for the Harsey is under $300. In the so the Harsey was a big jump, but it was one of my grails. I had to have it. Really? The Bug Out was your most carried, huh? That's interesting. Oh, you applied for a new job? I need a new job. I need a job that gives me right about the same amount of hours, but pays me like an extra $5 an hour. I need to be making over $20 an hour. It's stupid to be investing more than 20 hours a week and not be getting paid at least $22 an hour. It's just not fair. The economy, our inflation is just not equivalent to what the pay scale is for retail workers. It's just not. It's very heavily unbalanced in disfavor of retail workers. Yeah. Well, we're not gonna get into all that. Then I'll get mad. Then I'll be upset, and I don't want to be upset on a Friday afternoon after work. To answer that, Todd, no. I mean, the opportunity's there. If I wanted to take a assistant store manager position, I could. They're hiring, but in order to do that, I have to be full time, and I can't be full time. I can't be full time because the wife is more than full time. 13, 14-hour days, most days of the week, and somebody's got to be around for the kids because daycare and getting a reliable, trustworthy person to watch the kids it's damn near impossible these days in most places in this country. It's so damn difficult and so damn expensive to try to make that happen. When Suburban gets into his mid-teens, then he'll be the only one, and then I won't have to. At that point, yeah, I could absolutely be a manager. But for right now, it's a no-go. Even though the opportunity is there, and I have absolutely no trouble handling the responsibilities, and I'd be a damn good manager because I understand business. I mean, that was my college major after all, and then working in operations department in the military and managing. It would blow your mind how much I managed when I was in the service. But yeah, not until the kids grow up. But at that point, I absolutely do not want to be in retail. I don't want to be in retail. I hate retail. I absolutely hate retail. Can't stand retail. I hate dealing with all the Karen customers, the ones that bitch and moan and complain. There's no, and pretty much as a manager in retail, no matter what type of manager you are, at some point in time in your shift, you are having to deal with customers up at customer service, dealing with returns, dealing with angry customers, unhappy customers, and making them unhappy because you have to give them bad news all the damn time. And I don't want to do that. It's not that I don't like the confrontation. It's that I hate that their hands are tied because of the rules that they have to follow because of corporate. Why do y'all want to know this? So I was in the Navy as a CB, so I doing construction work. 8 years, no boats. I did that almost after I graduated from high school. So the messed up part was I didn't want to go into the Navy. I didn't want to be a CB. I didn't want to do that. What I wanted to do, what my passion at the time was when I was in high school, was lifeguarding, life saving. And I was super stoked about being a search and rescue swimmer for the Coast Guard. Didn't want to go into the military, even though the Coast Guard is one of the looped in branches, very vaguely looped in. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a search and rescue swimmer for the Coast Guard. I was a fantastic swimmer, and I had all that lifeguard training, all those skills, and you know, I'm an adrenaline junkie. So you know, jumping out of a helicopter 60 feet down into freezing cold water with waves the size of a 10-story building, that's no problem for me. I'm happy to do that. I would have loved doing that. That would have made my freaking day to get to do that. But long story short, as Mrs. Urban said, when I went to MEPS to do my indoctrination, my medical, that's what MEPS is. It's medical entrance, whatever the P is. They did a color vision test, and the color vision test is the little dots, the circle of the little colored dots, and you're supposed to see a number or letter in it, right? If you've ever done that before. Well, out of about a dozen of them, I only could get about 5 or 6 of them right, supposedly. It was difficult for me to see, to always see the colors or numbers, or the numbers or letters, whatever it was. So then they took me to another room and they did another test, and then they did another test and another test. And I was just like on that 50-50 mark as far as being able to recognize stuff. Only half of the time, only about 50 to 60% of the time. So after all these different types of tests that they made me take for my color vision, they determined that I am colorblind in the ever so slightest amount or degree with the particular colors of red and white, which is totally bullshit because I have absolutely no trouble seeing red and white, shades of reds and shades of whites. So I don't understand. I don't understand. But anyways, so I couldn't go into the Coast Guard doing those jobs because of the color blindness issue. And so I went in as a CB in the Navy, and I could do that, even though, you know, AutoCAD drawings, you're doing layers and layers and layers of all your different types of lines that you're drawing. And guess what? They're all freaking color coded. They're all color coded. So, you know, being colorblind and doing AutoCAD, it just, the whole freaking boatload of it just did not make any sense. It just did not make sense. It's so damn retarded. And I hated it almost on a daily basis. I really honestly did not enjoy most of my time in the service, mostly because of that. Again, Todd, I don't think the glasses would, the color blindness glasses, I don't know if those would adjust me properly. I would think that because of the way that they're made and who they're intended for, they would correct my vision and would actually cause me more color blindness. I did a bunch of research into that. I did read into that. And of course, you know, they didn't have those glasses back in early to mid 2000s, you know, in 2005 when I went to MEPS and started my process of getting into the service. Those glasses were not a thing. I don't know if those are a scam or not. But anyway, so I went into the military, did about 2 years well, a little less than 2 years into it, I was at my first command for about maybe 4 or 5 months, and I got pulled for deployment. And it was after we had gone to the range, the shooting range, a handful of times, and I was um, recognized for my sharpshooting skills, and that they pulled me aside and said, "Hey, we're gonna deploy you, and we before we deploy you, send you on deployment, we're sending you to sniper school for specific training with the 240 Bravo, because your task in the attachment group that you're going to be deployed with, the unit that I was deployed with was a joint task force unit mixed of Army Rangers, Navy SEALs, and a handful of us Seabees. And us Seabees were basically in charge. We had two mechanics, and they were needed because of the convoy, for the sake of the fact that we were a convoy unit. We were driving from town to town and sweeping towns, going through buildings, searching for the bad guys, the special list that Osama bin Laden was at the top of. I was part of that, one of the task force units that was assigned to do that, to search for certain individuals on that list. And yeah, that's my particular job, was to stay pretty much with the convoy. Us Seabees stayed with the convoy, with the vehicles, and I mounted myself up outside of town. About 300 to 500 yards was typically, the goal. 300 to 500 yards away from, just outside the little towns, and with a 240 Bravo automatic machine gun with armor piercing rounds. That sucker weighed 27 and a half pounds, and then we carried about 300 to 400 rounds each, me and my spotter. So me and my spotter would set up, and if my unit that was sweeping the buildings, going from building to building, if there was an ambush, my job was to take out enemy and enemy vehicles. That was my job. I only had to open fire once, but what happened was, in transport, our convoy got hit by some IED explosives, and in that process, I busted my lower back and received a whole bunch of shrapnel in my back. And so I spent about 3.5 weeks in the hospital recovering from that. I was in the emergency room. I was in the ER on the table, knocked out for about a day and a half, as they, spent 30 minutes there, an hour here, and an hour there, or whatever, pulling all the shrapnel out of my back. Now, 90% of that has healed, and so luckily the wife doesn't look at my back and see a whole shit ton of scars, because it was a bunch of little stuff. It was just a bunch of little stuff. But yeah, I was mostly there being monitored for poisoning, for lead poisoning from, and rust, steel poisoning from anything, infection. But yeah, so then once I got back to the States, I I started to notice. I didn't know that my back was damaged. I didn't know my back was damaged for probably another 4 or 5 months that I was stateside and doing PT, doing our 5 and 6 mile runs. That I was just noticing that I was in such excruciating pain, and sorry my tone changed because this is not the easiest thing for me to talk about, but I don't mind. It just brings back flashbacks, memories. Um, and so I noticed that my back was hurting all the damn time, going back into doing stuff. And so I re-enlisted because I was at that point in time. And so I re-enlisted, and again, not knowing exactly what was wrong with my back and why I was in pain. I'm looking for, since what's his face mentioned it, where did I put, here it is. I have a shirt from them too. Who said that? Who was it that mentioned? Yeah, budget guy. You talking about these people? Explosive ordnance disposal. Yeah, I spent some time with them. I hung out with them for a little bit here and there. Did some things. But yeah, and in my their gratitude to me giving them a hand and helping out and being a joy to work with, because I'm such a joy to work with. They gave me the command coin and and a shirt, and I got to eat in the officers' mess hall for lunch one day with them. So that was kind of cool. Got to sit with all the higher ups, admirals and generals and whatnot. But yeah, so I ended up eventually getting out after all the medical process that I had to go through, and that took several years. And so I got medically retired. And so when I got medically retired, I also got divorced. That was the same time I got divorced from my first wife. And so I was out of the Navy, so no job, divorced, and had 2 kids. I was a single parent, single father, who had just gotten out of the military because he's got a busted up back and sleep apnea. And then, so no job, no spouse, and 2 kids to take care of full time. So yeah, I had a lot on my plate at that moment. So at that moment, it kind of just made sense to use my GI Bill and go to school. And the GI Bill, what's great about the GI Bill that a lot of people don't talk about or mention or know, is that when you use your GI Bill and you go to school, they're not only paying for the school, but they also give you a housing and food allowance to help you maintain a lifestyle or the lifestyle that you had when you were in the service, without having to also have a full-time job and try to go to school and try to support a family. So, I mean, the GI Bill is really freaking awesome. It really is. It was a lifesaver at that time because, yeah, I was scared as hell about it. I was really, really nervous about having to taking care of my 2 little kids and and not having a job. So, and that's when I met this lovely lady, Mrs. Urban, who's not chopped liver. So yeah, by the time I got out, I was we were dating, and she fairly quickly moved in with me. Logistically, it made sense. Um, we really hit it off as far as not just the romantic part of our relationship, but we really hit it off in how grounded we were mindset wise, and what we knew that we didn't want and what we did want from each other, and our expectations from each other. We're both very independent minded people, and have been used to, always having to take care of ourselves and take care of our children, um, without hardly any help from our spouse, from our significant other. So the fact that you get two people that are used to being independent and used to conquering the world on their own, and you get two of them together, that's kind of the jackpot, in the sense of the fact that, it's like you can depend on each other for holding the other one up and taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of when the one is down. And yet having the security of knowing that when one is down, they're not going to be down for very long, because that's not the way that they're engineered. That's not who they are as a person. So, yeah. So I was single for more than 5 months during my process of getting out of the Navy. And then I met Mrs. Urban, and Mrs. Urban and I mean, the rest is history. But once I got my college done, once I got my schooling done, yeah, it kind of just, I was like, I needed to get into the workforce, and I really didn't know where to go, where to apply, what exactly to do. I mean, I had my business degree, I had the operational type background. I knew that I did not want to go in. I couldn't go into construction because of my busted back, but I didn't want to be a civil engineer doing the AutoCAD drawings, the layout design, blueprint stuff, because I absolutely hated that. I hated having to do that. And site surveys is not fun, and obviously, again, because of my back, I couldn't do concrete. Sorry, hit the chip on the throat the wrong way. So I ended up in retail. Because where I got left, dumped out of the bottom end of Georgia, South Georgia, on the coast here, there really isn't a whole lot besides construction and retail and medical. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do medical stuff. And I probably would have ran into issues with the color blindness going into the medical field. Possibly. Yeah, well, sorry. You know that I'm long-winded in telling the stories. So I ended up at, my first job was at Academy Sports and Outdoors. And I was really happy with that at first, for the first couple of years. Because it was a store that I liked. It was product that I liked. I know, isn't that funny? I take forever to get to the point. Mimo. And throwing in the jokes. So yeah, I liked Academy Sports and Outdoors because it was, sports and outdoor stuff. I love sports and I love outdoor stuff. And I had fun with that for a handful of years. And then COVID happened. The whole COVID bullshit. And then trying to sell firearms and having to wear a damn mask and being asked to do more than what you're being paid to do. And not getting pay raises. I mean, there's a number of factors during the COVID time that brought me to the point where I was like, I hate going to work. I hate dealing with being paid way less than all these new employees when I had been with the company for over 3.5 years. And I was getting paid $11 when new hire an hour, when new hires were getting 13, few of them $13.50, $14. And I was like, this is bullshit. And I was being given the responsibilities of an assistant manager without the title or the pay of an assistant manager. So I got fed up with that. And I didn't really snap on a customer. I just gave them the hard, cold truth about something. And that wasn't the corporate answer. And the customer didn't like hearing the truth. And so it was kind of a last straw with HR. And so they kicked me out, booted me for something really fucking stupid. But so then that led me to Lowe's. So now I've been at Lowe's for right about 3 years. So yeah, I've got 6.5 years of retail at the bottom of the totem pole. Just like I spent my 7.5 years in the Navy at the bottom of the totem pole. So I'm kind of comfortable being at the bottom of the totem pole because I realized that once you start climbing the ladder and you start handling all the extra responsibilities and being in charge of more stuff, it's just not worth all the bullshit that comes with it. It's just not. I mean, it's like I either be the owner of the damn company or I be the employee that doesn't have to do much and doesn't have to care much. Like that's how I want it to be. I either want to be able to make all the decisions and how things are run and how things are done, or not make any. I don't like being the guy that's stuck in the middle that has to deal with all the bullshit from, the BS decisions that the higher ups make and have to then, get on to all my lower employees for not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like it sucks being the one in the middle. Being a store manager, being an assistant store manager, it's just not fun. So there was a job recently that just popped up because I'm on LinkedIn and I'm occasionally keep my eyes open for something better. But there was a driving job that I really thought about picking up and considering doing, where it's like all you're doing is you're driving on the road and you're picking up and delivering medical supplies. And it's in a town in Georgia that's about 2 hours and 15 minutes away from where I live. And you're supposed to, the job is basically just drive out there to that town and pick up medical supplies at a facility. And then you drive it back to here, to my town where I live, to the VA clinic that's here. So it's for the VA center. And then, drive any medical supplies that the VA center has or anything that they have that needs to go back to that town. But the problem is that it's in that order and not the reverse order. So if I lived real close to that town, it would have been a sweet gig. But because I live close to here in Brunswick, it's not a sweet gig. And in the fact that I'm having to make that trip twice in the day, even though I'm only getting paid to do it once because of where I live. And then the other part of it was you don't drive a company vehicle. You have to provide your own vehicle. So that's putting 400 miles every day on a vehicle. And I couldn't use the bike because I'm transporting a bunch of medical supplies that are in like coolers and boxes and stuff. So I would need, my SUV basically is what I would need. And my SUV is already got 190,000 miles on it. And I don't have a brand new vehicle. And the pay is I guess it's salaried at $35,000 a year, which is good considering the fact that you're really only putting 8 hours of work into the day for 5 days of the week. So doing the math, it was a good pay. It just sucked having to have all those miles, all that time on the road be put to your personal vehicle. Because I don't mind driving. Like if doing a job like that would be great for the sake of the fact that I don't mind driving. It just needs to be in a company vehicle, and to where my route ends me back up in my hometown where I live. So if they did that, if they reversed the route so that I would end up every night back here, that would be fine. But that's not what the job entails. I think I remember somebody at the Lowe's that I work at who did take up either that particular job itself or something very, very similar, if I remember. And he complained that's why he came back to Lowe's, was because it was just too many miles, too much wear and tear on his vehicle, and he was just not up for putting his vehicle through all that. But whatever. Yeah, see, Joseph, I have no idea how you do it. I have no idea how you do it. And you've done 2 years as a department manager. Do you mind if I ask what company? Who you're working for? And, I mean, do you still enjoy it? Or are you like me, just like really itching to get away from it? I can't believe 24 years into retail. 24 freaking years. I mean, if you love it, you love it. That's fantastic. I can imagine that, 15 plus years ago, it actually was a pretty decent and enjoyable job because everybody in the world wasn't angry all the time about the way the world is. I don't know. You could answer that, Joseph. Was it easier 15 plus years ago? Or has been just as much of a nightmare? Because I imagine that over the last 10 to 15 years, it's just gotten worse and worse. And within just the past 5 years, because of COVID and the aftermath of COVID, that it's just gotten way, way worse, like compoundingly worse. Now, how many years did you do that for, Todd, as a force fighter? I bet the water cannon was a lot of fun. But I imagine that as a firefighter, you're always having to worry about wearing a mask and not breathing in the smoke and the exposure to the heat and just all over the physical strain that all that puts on your body. Okay, so you did that for like 3 years, roughly. Because we had my CB unit that I was stationed with, my first unit, my first command that was out in San Diego. We had the Santa Ana fires out there in California. One summer, they got all the way down to where Camp Pendleton is. Well, just north of Camp Pendleton, which is about an hour and 10 minutes or so north of San Diego. And so we were deployed, sent out up there to create fire break lines with all of our bulldozer equipment and stuff. So yeah, and I worked a water cannon at one point. But yeah, I mean that was our job for that, was to go up there and help them by creating fire breaks with the dozers and then just dumping water all over the ground everywhere right there where we made the fire breaks. Yeah, it was a lot of work, and it was hot as hell. It was hot as hell. Yeah, that's what it is down here too, and everywhere. And that's just how it is. Like, you know, there's so much with HR and workers' rights that protects the shitty workers, to where it's all that more difficult for managers to fire them. And then therefore they kind of just get ignored, just straight up ignored. And then all the harder workers, the ones that will actually do the shit that's asked of them, get asked to take on all the things that the shitty workers are not doing. So the customers that genuinely need help and seem to be appreciative of the knowledge that I can pass on to them and the assistance that I can give them, I'm all for giving it to them. I'm all for it. I'm never an asshole to a customer. If a customer goes Karen on me, if they get real finicky and start acting disrespectful, I just leave them be. I let them get it out of their system and say, okay, well, if there's anything else I can do for you, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to be over on that aisle. And I leave them to it. I let them get it out of their system, and then I say, okay, that's wonderful. I'll be over there. In fact, here I had this was a while ago, but it was kind of funny. I came out of the bathroom. I had been on the floor for 3.5 hours straight. Finally took a bathroom break. Had to go to the bathroom. The coffee had kicked in, and I found a kind of a stopping point in my morning tasks that I do every morning. And there wasn't any customers around my department really that needed help. So I was like, great, I can finally go take a shit. So I went to the bathroom, and I was it doesn't take me very long. I don't spend half an hour. I don't struggle with doing a number 2 like some people do. I got good muscles. We'll leave it at that. We won't get too more disgusting than that. But anyways, so about 4 or 5 minutes later, I'm out of the bathroom. Well, I hear before I wipe that customer needs assistance on one of my electrical aisles. And so I come out of the bathroom, and immediately one of my coworkers is like, "Hey, there's a customer on this aisle that really needs your help with something." And I'm like, "Okay, great. I'll go right there. I'm on my way. Sorry I had to go to the bathroom." Well, I get out there to the front end of the aisle, and this lady is standing there. Sweet old rich lady, coming from the island, so she's wealthy. You know that she's wealthy. If you know the area here and the people that are here. So she's like, "Do you work in this department?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am, I do. How can I help you today?" And she's like, "Well, thank goodness, because I've been standing here for and nobody wants to help me, and everybody keeps telling me that they're gonna find somebody, and they can't find somebody. They just leave me here. Like she just blew up." And she was, I'm like, "Well, I'm very sorry that happened to you. What can I do for you?" And I said this as another random customer was walking by, and as he was walking by, he had heard the whole thing, and he just started like not hiding his laughing, but not being loud with his laughing. Like I heard him laughing. But yeah, so like he thought it was hilarious in how I dealt with her in my mildly sarcastic manner. It's just like, "Look, lady, I don't care about your struggles. You're being ridiculous. Tell me what you need so I can get rid of you, because nobody likes people that are like you." So yeah, it was in the moment. It was pretty funny. So, but yeah, I mean, you deal with so many customers that are like that. So many customers. My biggest aggravation, which I'm sure Joseph knows, is when you get the customer that comes to you and they've either, whether it's a photo of it on their phone or it's written down on a list or whatever, and they're like, "This is what I need. Can you help me find this?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. It's on this aisle. If you need me to take you there, I'll walk you to it." And I always ask them if they would like me to walk them to where the item is, because I don't know, in a home department store, you kind of get the 50-50 feel of some of them need the full-blown assistance, and some of them are like, "No, I got it. It's like, point me in the right direction and that's it. Then I'm on my own. I can find it from there. I don't need you to hold my hand." And then the other half of the people are like, "Please hold my hand." And so those are the ones that are a little irritating. And it's extremely irritating when they're to the point where once you get them to the aisle and you get them to that part of the aisle, the bay that the item that they're looking for is in, it's like right there in front of their face. And they still, at that point, require you to pick it up off of the shelf and put it in their hand, where they physically need you to put it in their hand. And then they're like, "Well, are you sure this is what I need? I mean, does it have this? Does it do that? Does it?" And I'm like, "It's in your fucking hand. Read the damn packaging. Stop asking me dumb questions," because the answers are right there at your fingertips. And it's just like, yeah, it's the whole hold your hand thing that just drives me nuts sometimes. Most of the time, just most of the time, almost all the time. Right. Unfortunately, it's still illegal to. You want to so bad with certain individuals. The only thing you need to do is just laugh it off later and tell it as a story. That's really what we're left with. There's no strangling customers. There's no smacking them upside the head. There's no, telling them to get the fuck out of here. You can't do that. You can't do that. You get fired for that for some reason. I couldn't tell you why. But yeah, so those are the reasons why I don't like dealing with the corporate bullshit, and the dumb decisions that a lot of them make, because they don't understand what it's like to be on the floor anymore. They don't understand the complications that such decisions end up putting upon us workers. Because they just don't know. They're not there. They've been away from that so long because all they're used to is going golfing with their golf buddies and whining and dining, to where they don't know. They don't know how their company runs at the bottom level. And then also part of that struggle is the fact that when the ones that do bother to go visit stores and do walk-arounds through their stores to see how things are going, to see whether or not the policies that they've trickled down are actually being put into practice, the store managers and the assistant store managers put on this show, and they get ready for it. They prepare for it. And they make all of us regular employees work like twice as hard for like a week or two before this visit happens, to make the store as immaculate as possible for this visit. So then when they get there, the higher ups, whether it's your district or your regional or whatever, when they get there, they're being paraded around and being presented a as much of a picture perfect view of things as the store manager can possibly put in front of them. That's not actually reflecting what the store is like on a regular day-to-day for the rest of the 360 some days of the year. So they're totally, it's a falsehood that gets presented, and it doesn't solve anything. It really doesn't. It doesn't solve anything. I'm gonna go walking in the moonlight with you. Okay. Suburban started baseball. If you didn't realize that from my me being in the chat for Grumpy's live last night, after getting eaten up by the gnats down here. It's a problem in South Georgia that there's no way of getting around that. There's no bug spray. There's no, even the home remedies that the old timers that have concocted up, it only works so much. It only helps so much. Sand gnats in general are just like the devil's little, they're so god awful, completely miserable. But anyways, and it sucks for the kids because they're just trying to play baseball and trying to learn the game, because the 6, 7, and 8-year-olds are just starting to figure out how the game of baseball works and how it's supposed to be played, with some slight changes in the rules because of as adaptations to their lack of skill level at that age. But yeah, it sucks for them having to, try to learn the sport at the same time they're battling, not being able to see because there's 500 little minuscule bugs like swarmed right in front of their faces, and then they're getting bitten, over and over and over again by them. It's not fun. And I was at the first base as a first base coach, and helping assisting in getting them to run all the way through the bag, and yet then also tell them when to go to second base. So, and high fives for a good hit, giving them positive reinforcement. So it's fun. I enjoy that. My dad did it for me when I was going through baseball growing up. It was nice having him as a coach or assistant coach. He was never the coach. He was one of the assistant coaches, and he had to step up a couple of times because the coach couldn't make it for whatever reason. But he did do that for a couple, like 2 or 3 years. He did that, which is cool. Having your dad be one of the coaches. But yeah, so that was last night. We just started the season, and so there will be many evenings where I get eaten up. But it's fun. It's all good fun, and it's always a challenge to try to get the kids to listen and to follow the rules of the game, and it's cool to see them developing their skills, their motor skills, and their ability to hit the ball or make a good throw, that kind of thing. Yeah, those are the fun things about kids. That's where the joy of having kids comes from. When they're fighting and arguing and yelling and screaming at each other, or throwing stuff, getting mad because somebody wants their turn on the game system or whatever, or it's like it's the last piece of chicken in the pan and they're all fighting over it. That's when you're just like, why did I have kids? What's the Django quote? Yeah, mosquitoes are not as bad to deal with for the sake of the fact that many of your sprays and stuff work. At least make a big enough difference most of the time. Gnats don't get phased by anything. Even the Thermacells. Gnats don't give two shits about what the Thermacells do. They don't. I'm sorry, but they don't. I have tried. I've those things have can put out so much for a certain radius is what they're advertised as. I've quadrupled. I've put 3 or 4 of these suckers and like right next to me, and still the gnats do not care. Gnats don't get phased by nothing. They're impossible. Satisfaction's. I'm not highlighting that. You nasty. Man, on Wednesday when they were talking about his cod piece for as long as they did, that was starting to bother me. That was really starting to bother me. Like I was just like, like that's gross. That's good. All right. Well, let's see. It's 5:20. I really don't have anything to talk about, and it looks like G-Ball never came back. So after his shower, he must have been feeling too good or got caught up with the family or something. And Miss Urban ain't bitching about anything. so she's busy at work again. Before I go, I don't have a giveaway this week. I hope to have one for Easter. The Friday before Easter. I will have a couple of items to put together for a giveaway. So we'll do that then. All right. Y'all got to give me a break here. I gotta save up $500 some for for getting tires on the motorcycle so I can make it to Blade Show. But let's do two or three of these before we go for the day. Here's an interesting one. Let me cover up the answer. What's a retrograde gasm? When you do it without being touched, when your swimmies travels backward into the body. What? Is that even possible? And a gasm without an erection, a gasm in which no swimmies comes out of you at all. What's a retrograde gasm? This one's a little interesting. LCAP says D. Anybody else want to guess? Todd says D. No more guesses? The answer is B. When it travels backwards into the body. Ugh. That's a little disturbing to think about. Yeah. All right. Let's do something. Let's do a different one. All right, this is kind of interesting. Here's a sports question. I like this one. In its entire history, only one professional American football player has died on the field. Actually, died on the field, which is nuts to think about it. Like, have y'all watched those highlight clips where they show insane tackles and hard hits in football? Like, somebody's made a compilation of all of those moments, like that. Like, it's hard to think that only one professional football player has died on the field. But anyways, the second half of it is, which sport has killed 34 participants in the same time span? So I guess we're talking about less than 200 years. How long has football been going on? Anyways, so 34 participants in the same time span. Horse racing, hockey, race car driving, boxing. I didn't actually look at the answer, so I can guess. You would think boxing? Race car driving is a possibility.
Life is almost over.
Horse racing I could almost see. I don't know.
Daddy.
Yeah, soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can after that life you can make dough.
Yeah. You hungry for dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, Suburban wants dinner. Brian, basketball was not one of the options. So horse racing, you're gonna go with horse racing. LCAP says C, race car driving. I'm leaning towards boxing. The answer is A, horse racing. No shit. Yeah, I can see that. I can see people, falling off the horse and getting trampled to death. I can see that. Because, horse racing, you're going fast. And horses are animals that are not nearly as reliable and dependable in mannerisms as, per se, a race car. I was really leaning towards boxing. Maybe I've seen the Rocky movies way too many times. How many times has anybody seen the Rocky movies, the whole franchise, more than 3 times over? Besides me, because I've probably seen that whole series at least 4 or 5 times, all the way through, every single one of them. Here's a good one. I already know. I knew the answer to this already before I even got halfway through the question. But if you're getting surgery, there's a chance some objects might get sewn up inside of you. It's happening more and more these days. I don't know what the issue is, whether or not just the surgeries are getting more complicated, or maybe the fact that they're getting more simplified. That your doctors, your surgeons are getting complacent, or what? Why it is that more and more people are finding out things get sewn back up inside of them. But the most common item that doctors tend to leave inside people is either A, sponges, B, needles, C, tweezers, or D, clamps. And that's your answer. Ginger Fisher is right. Answer is A, sponges. Sponges are the most common thing. I believe the next one is tweezers. Yeah. Clamps is hardly ever. That they're actually the most rare. I think tweezers and then needles. Are they LCAP? Are they really that rare? Maybe not in boxing, but them MMA fighters. I don't see how more people die. I mean, especially with some of the refs that don't. So many of them that don't do anything, like don't step in as quickly as they should. I mean, and Todd, the best thing is at least in America, more than 75% of your surgeries done in America are recorded, are video recorded. Like there's a camera recording it, at least one camera, if not 2 or 3. And that's done for 2 reasons. 1, for educational purposes, and 2, for legality reasons, in all effort to prevent mishaps such as leaving surgery items in the body. So yeah, I don't know why I know that kind of stuff, but I do. I mean, and my wife's the nurse. I'm not a nurse or a doctor. I just know these things for some dumb reason. All right, here we'll do one last one. This one's kind of off the wall. So before you do it, think twice about committing a crime in this country. If you get caught here, the conviction rate is 99%. So which country out of these 4 do you think has the most strenuous conviction for crime? Yeah, some of them do that too. Mainly your big cities, mainly your big cities, and the ones that are notoriously known for doing the more complicated surgeries and having your more prestigious surgeons. Absolutely have their instruments coded. But yeah, which of those 4 countries do you think has the most strenuous conviction for committing a crime? LCAP says Japan. I'm guessing Singapore. It's either Japan or Singapore. It's got to be. Japan seems the obvious one, and because the way this game is set up and the way these questions are picked, it's not supposed to be so obvious for all of them. That's how they get you. That's how you're supposed to lose the game. So that's why I'm thinking it could possibly be Singapore. But no, I agree with y'all. Japan seems it would be the obvious one. So our answer is Japan. So this one was an obvious one. We got it right. Tactical Terry, no sir. It's not Afghanistan. Not Afghanistan. The reason why it's not Afghanistan is because laws in Afghanistan altogether as a country are so it depends on where you are as far as which laws are upheld and which laws are not, and to what degree. The Middle East is not a good area for that because the laws for the country versus the laws for the regions versus the laws from town to town and who's in charge of each community. Yeah, it's Middle East is bad with that. They're one of the worst. Them and your South Central America countries are also like that very much. So it would be rather difficult to try to put out that kind of statistical information. But all right, that's cool. That was fun. I like these. These are cool. This is you learn something new every day. But all right, that's all I got for y'all. I got a busy weekend ahead. My daughter's got something going on almost all day tomorrow with Girl Scouts, and then Suburban has a thing tomorrow. Well, he and I have a thing that we're both involved in that I volunteered for, helping out with tomorrow afternoon, and then I don't know if we've got something going on Sunday. Oh, the baseball coach might be trying to get a practice in on Sunday. I don't know, but yeah. But and then I got the stuff to do for the motorcycle, and I want to try to get that video done about the ridgeline for bushcrafting. So yeah, I got a lot. I got a lot to do. Oh, and my car AC system. Check this out. My car AC. The filter that's back behind the glove box for the AC system in my SUV. This dumbass. Yes, my dumbass. I am not the most brilliant person, as much as I pretend to be and put out that I am. I have my stupid moments. I have plenty of them. Plenty. I can be totally humble about that. Yeah, my dumbass has not changed my inside air filter for my AC system in the car in God knows how many years. It's been an insanely long time. So, just about a week ago, it started not blasting out the air in my car. The fan that's underneath that filter stopped working, shut off. And so I bought a new filter, replaced the the filter, swapped the filter out, and it's in all hopes that would solve the problem, and it didn't. It didn't. It wants to kick on and then it shuts back off, and it only spins so fast, and I don't know what exactly the issue is. So I'm going to have to spend some amount of time, whether it's 30 minutes before I figure out what the deal is, or it's an hour. My fingers are crossed that something's just possibly blocking it. But it is a possibility that the motor's burnt out. Or maybe possibly one of the fuse is messed up. Oh, hey, there's Maddie. Hey, Maddie! About time you show up right for the end. I was about to leave. Wasn't expecting you to pop in. But this late in the game. I'm not supposed to be on anymore. I'm supposed to get off of here and go make dinner, according to Suburban. He wants his food. He wants his meal. Yeah, Marty knows about blowers. Oh, you just got home. Right on. So yeah, I'm hoping that I don't have to replace the blower, because I don't need another expense. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to afford to buy another knife or buy anything at Blade Show. It's just too many expenses, too much things that got to get fixed and replaced and repaired. But yeah, so y'all wish me luck on that one. Fingers crossed, and it's not going to cost me a bunch of money. Oh, Yona's stopping by your place, Neil? Well, give him a big hug for all of us. Yeah, really hope that he gets more time with his love of his life than what the doctors are projecting. I think we're all hoping for a miracle on that one. They're not that much, Maddie. I know you dealt with, but that's, you got a truck, right? And who makes what's the manufacturer of your truck? Because I have a Mitsubishi. I have a Mitsubishi Outlander, which is a fantastic SUV, by the way, altogether. I've had that thing for 10 years, and anything like the tiniest little things that have been an issue are just minor fixes. Never not had anything cause me any significant grief. To have a vehicle go 10 years these days like that, a 10-year-old vehicle, to do that, almost 200,000 miles at this point, it's got enough life. This thing will go 300,000 miles, and for an SUV, they're way less expensive than its competition. So if you're in the market for a medium-sized SUV that gets 30 miles to a gallon on the highway, that's not going to cost you over $50,000. Take a serious look at the Mitsubishi Outlanders. They're great cars. They have the Sport, which has just your front seats and your middle row, and then they have the full-size Outlander that I have that has a third row double seat, which is not a very roomy third row. You can definitely put the kids back there. But once they get into teenagers, then they feel a little cramped back there. But it's not a big deal if you're only going across town. But yeah, I've loved that SUV. It's been a fantastic SUV. But I do want to get a truck, a Toyota. Either the Tacoma or possibly this Toyota Stout that's coming out sometime the end of this year, or probably next year. It probably won't happen till next year. But yeah, I've got to continue to drive this SUV for a couple more years and hopefully be able to save up for a truck somehow, some way. But all right, y'all have a good weekend. I'm out of here. I might be in some lives later in the chats. Might not. I don't know. It depends on how exhausted I am. So yeah, y'all take care. have a good weekend. Thanks for popping in. Dawn, good to see you. How are you? Here, I'll flash the Suck It Gary Hank one last time as we say goodbyes. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.